Well, I believe in good vibrations is what creates a beautiful nation. All you need is the will to do right, do right, do right.
And we're live. Welcome to a brand new episode of Anecdotally Arguments with Triumph the Insurrectionist. For Mutual Bullbot. I'm your host, Jay Fred, and with me, as usual, is Sean. How's it going, Sean?
It's Monday. It's a holiday, if you didn't know, and we're here. So let's do this.
Fucking understandable if you didn't know. Apparently, very few people do. People were going into to work and not knowing it was a holiday. All right, so as we've become accustomed, mostly because Garrick's a jackass, we have been starting with the movie reviews. So, did you happen to see the show last night?
No, I didn't because I was busy with Father's Day stuff, but I did watch it today at work.
Oh, okay, so you did see the rating.
Yes. Yes, I did.
Do you recall the rating?
4.
Do you recall the movie?
I recall watching the movie in the middle of the 80s when I was probably about 11 or 12 and not liking it.
Yeah. I mean, there's the funny part. Like my favorite part of the whole goddamn movie is he's getting shot at the gas station back when the gas came in jars or all cans.
Yeah.
And and the sniper's taking shots at him. And he's standing there like, somebody hates these cans. It's so freaking stupid. Oh, he's actually got the clip of it in here. It's just so stupid. But I couldn't give it a 4 if I wanted to.
No, which is why I didn't rewatch it for this. I instead chose to rewatch the greatest movie ever made because why not? But yeah, I remember not liking it in the 80s, and then after watching Matt's comparison to it and Dumb and Dumber, I realized, oh yeah, didn't like that movie either. So I guess I'm on point with not sharing Matt's level of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, I don't mind a stupid dad joke. I spew them out as my job as a dad. But yeah, the movies based on that, like I don't like Anchorman, I don't like Dumb and Dumber, either one of them. I didn't like The Jerk. I just don't like. I have a weak spot for something like Step Brothers, but not really. I mean, Step Brothers is like the best movie of that sort of type of humor that I can think of, where I don't hate it, but I don't like it.
Bullshit comments like that's why you lost your wrench, not poet. I'm ready for the Ethan Hawke fan meetup. Get out of here. Speaking of, Training Days on the list for next week. At the top of it, Lion King is for some reason.
I could see that. That was the only movie on the new list that is worth a piece of shit.
I like Training Day. It's the only film I like Ethan Hawke in. I like Gattaca.
I like Gattaca. But, yeah, I voted for the wild card for next week. Because all of those movies are garbage.
I didn't care for Collateral. Ooh.
None of those movies on that list are classics. Except maybe The Lion King. And even then, it's tainted.
It is tainted, but it's still good. Like,
yeah.
As much as shit as you want to talk about Disney, and there's plenty of shit to talk about Disney. In fact, Buzz Lightyear flopped.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was going to bring up.
Okay, all right, then cool. We'll talk about that. Um,
I don't have
and
much
speaking
on it
of,
other than it
it was
it
going to be one of mine, and I read it as like 2 paragraphs, and I'm like, nope.
yeah, well, there is something to add to that, and we might as well get this out of the way now. So, yeah, Lightyear, the movie, did terribly and came in underneath the second week of Jurassic Park or the Jurassic World movie.
Jurassic Dominion, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It's garbage. We've had an entire week of people going to see that thing and saying, wow, it's not good. And we're talking all the way down into normies, just going to see that movie and going, wow, that really wasn't good. And Lightyear came out underneath its second week of a bad movie.
Yeah, I heard it wasn't good.
Now, what's interesting about that is that during one of the junkets for the movie Lightyear, Chris Evans is out there saying, defending the lesbian kiss that's in a children's movie for some reason, whatever, saying that the people that don't like it are dinosaurs and they're just going to die off. I'd like to point out the irony that his movie that he's the titular character in did worse than Resurrected Dinosaurs.
Who, I don't know if you know this, Chris, but they died off. Yeah, it explains why Tim Allen didn't come back.
I don't think he was even asked, though.
Oh yeah, no. The guy said that's Buzz Lightyear the toy. This is Buzz Lightyear the man. I'm like, is it though? But yeah, it's shit all around. Get woke. Something about going broke.
Well, it's interesting that a Pixar movie,
Which are usually pretty damn good.
usually really good,
Mm-hmm.
even including some messaging that I'm not even on board with, still
Dude,
can
the
agree.
first 5 minutes of Up had no words, and it was still a fucking great not movie. That was a movie all of its own. Like it's one of the best love stories I'd ever seen.
Right. They usually
like
do really
Notting
well.
Hill.
And if Pixar has succumbed to this, and even a new Pixar movie that we haven't had since the last Incredibles, if I'm not mistaken. I think the last Incredibles was the most recent, besides Lightyear, Pixar movie.
Really? There wasn't like cavemen or Bigfoot or something?
I don't know. Let me check that. I don't want to speak out of turn, but actually I do.
Yeah, I just don't
I do it
trust
all the damn time. But hang on.
Yeah. The Croods, I think.
Turning Red was technically a Pixar movie.
That's the angry thing.
That's where the little girl turns into a little Chinese girl turns into a panda because she got her period, basically.
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah. Well, it's an allegory for that. It's, about becoming a woman. You get to a certain age as a woman, your body does stuff, and it's a genetic condition where instead of, it's just emotions take over when you're. It's a coming of age story. Is really all it is. In order. Let's see here. Okay.
I thought there was one with a cat and souls.
Okay, so I guess Toy Story 4 is actually after Incredibles 2. So I missed a bunch. Toy Story 4, Onward, Soul, Luca, Turning Red, and now this year Lightyear. Are all Pixar movies.
Nice shorts too, like the movie they plug in shorts all the time. That's nice, smooth.
So I did not see Onward, Soul, or Luca.
Oh, I saw Onward.
Wait a minute.
Was...
No, I take that back. I have seen Onward. I thought it was I didn't think it was Pixar. I thought it was what's the other animation studio that competes with them?
Yeah, I don't fucking know.
Is it Fox Searchlight? No. Is it DreamWorks. I don't. Whoever the other.
I think it's a dream. I think it's some sort of DreamWorks. Well, let's see. What was the one with the feelings? Inside Out.
That's Pixar.
Oh, is that Pixar? I thought
Yeah.
Turning Red was the one about the anger. Like, what's its own movie?
No, but there's that other animation studio that has competing animated movies that are usually pretty good, but obviously not normally as good as Pixar. That's what I thought did Onward. I didn't realize it was Pixar.
All right. Top animation studios: Walt Disney, Pixar, DreamWorks, Sony Pictures. Oh, Illumination. They're the Minions.
Yes, those guys. That did. Yeah, that did Despicable Me and that sort of thing. I just assumed Onward was them, not Pixar. And Turning Red I saw because the boys were watching it, 3 or 4 weeks ago. Not bad, but not great.
Dude, I just saw it. That's a terrible movie. Batman Ninja.
Batman Ninja?
Batman Ninja. It was like they took, I think, like 5 Japanese directors and were like, here's Batman. And they just they had their way with it. And it was very much prostituted. Poor fella. Do you remember the plot to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3?
Hell no.
That, but with Gorilla Grodd.
Okay.
They go back to feudal Japan, and everybody speaks English.
Okay.
You don't know? You didn't watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3?
See, the problem with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is I was big into the underground comic book that was definitely X-rated.
Hey.
It was very, very bloody, very, very dark. And by the time it got churched up to be on TV as a kid's cartoon and then the movies, I was beyond Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I never really, it really wasn't like the staple of my childhood that it was for the people that are like 5 to 10 years younger than me.
Yeah. And me.
Well, you're 10 years younger than me.
Am I, Grandpa?
Yes, I'm old, damn it.
I'm turning 42.
And my bones hurt. My teeth itch.
I'm just a wet skeleton.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm 6 years older than you because I just turned 48. So.
Yeah. So
you're in that 5 to 10 years younger than me range.
Yeah, the 5, not the 10. The that's something I don't even remember how it happened because Vanilla Ice wasn't in this movie, so I paid less attention to it. And he was in 2. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I am aware of that because I was a Vanilla Ice fan.
I pay this guy $20,000 a month to travel around and make jeans with spray paint on them. The guy's like, I make $1 million a year. I'm like, I'm sorry, what the fuck? But somehow back in time, there's lanterns, magic, and mischief, and whatever. Anyway, that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and this it's Killer Grodd. And at one point, the houses that the Shoguns, which are Penguin, Poison Ivy, Joker, Deathstroke, and Two-Face, they're Shoguns of 5 different feudal areas. The houses turn into robots, which then turn into, I shit you not, Megazords.
That's the most Japanese sounding crap I've ever heard.
And then they go into a fight with Gorilla Grodd, who used 10,000 trained monkeys in bamboo armor to create a Pac-Man-esque fighting figure who then gets wrapped up in bats from the Batman Shotokan dynasty, and they let them fight. Fucking just, I'm like, what the hell? And that was the good part of it.
A big, heaping pile of Japanese mess. And I would be totally down to watch it.
There's do you know the ABCs of Death?
No.
So they hire 26 up and coming directors, and they give them a letter from the alphabet. And you're like, you got 3 to 5 minutes. Make us a short story. And it's A through Z of whatever kind of death you can plug into that alphabetical number, or that alphabetical slot. So it very much ranges the gamut in styles. And these 5 little vignettes only did some of that. And I'm like, hey, you guys know Batman's not a superhero, right? Like, he's not a mutant. He doesn't have super strength. You just had him do a 42-foot vertical. He doesn't do that. There was one funny part when he first gets to Japan, and he has to get off the street, and he pulls his bat grappling, whatever the fuck it's called, and he points it up, and nothing's above 2 stories. He's like, huh. And then he just kind of walks off to the side because the whole street filled with smoke. Yeah, just not very good. Interesting. So, worth a watch if you're like a fan of Batman and yelling at the TV. But let's get into my first story. My first story is Watergate 2.17, or whatever the fuck it's called. So, I'm not sure if anybody remembers this 50 years ago, because this is when it was poignant. The lawyer who prosecuted what he claims is everybody involved in Watergate says that Donald Trump is definitely going to prison for what he told the Georgia Secretary of State to do. Which is weird because he had like 13 lawyers on that call listening but not saying anything. So you'd think he wouldn't actually, do something. But we shall see. If I had to put my money on one prosecution that's going to move forward and send Donald Trump to jail, it's Georgia. Ackerman, a former prosecutor for the Watergate Special Prosecution Force, under Archibald Cox and Leon Jaworski, said, no question about it.
There's a lot of questions about it.
Yeah, like how do you charge somebody in the state of Georgia for something they said in the state of, not the state of Washington, D.C.?
Well, technically it could be coercion, bribery, corruption of a government official, a state government official. So they're the state boundaries. So basically, you really couldn't, not federally anyway, but you could. Well, I mean, federally, I guess the FBI could get you on, interstate corruption or whatever you want to call it, I guess, would be the only thing that would come to mind. But if you're going to do that, and this goes back to the problem with the judicial system in that the selective prosecution, this is going to be an ongoing theme tonight, the selective prosecution of people doing certain things and then completely ignoring people doing the exact same thing or worse things, that's kind of problematic. So as badly as they want to put him in jail, half the country wants to put Hillary Clinton in jail, and it seems to me there's a lot better evidence of actual crime being committed by Hillary Clinton than Donald Trump. You may not like the asshole, and a lot of people don't, but an asshole's gonna asshole, and a criminal's gonna crime. And
Yeah.
if you have information that might lead to the prosecution of Hillary Clinton, you usually end up dead. So nobody's died in defense of Trump or even threatening Trump. These aren't these aren't commensurate things.
Yeah. So my favorite part is he says that Trump, who asked Raffensperger to, in quotes, find, just a single word is quoted, 11,780 votes to overturn President Biden's victory in the state, has described the phone call as, again quotes, perfect. And I'm like, I just watched Liz Cheney quote half of a tweet and managed to leave out the part that was not to her liking. I'm wondering what else was in the statement beyond find that you didn't like. But I also don't like that an actual prosecutor keeps saying jail when he means prison. But in Georgia, the investigative panel began hearing from witnesses this month, including Raffensperger. The special grand jury will ultimately recommend whether the county prosecutor should prosecute Trump criminally for election interference. Ackerman, whose work probing an illegal break-in at the DNC headquarters in 1972, 50 years ago. Actually, right around this time, 50 years ago. Former president resignations, yada yada. Eventually, the dude pardoned himself. Okay, he says all of Nixon's aides were indicted, they were convicted, and the only person who didn't go to prison was Nixon because he was pardoned. There was accountability in the end.
My understanding is the only person who went to jail for Watergate was G. Gordon Liddy.
Exactly. See, so he's not even an honest character in this, unless he remembers things differently.
Or I'm mistaken in my understanding that the only person who went to jail for Watergate was G. Gordon Liddy.
No, because there was two people involved in the break-in itself, and I was like, how come there's only one conviction? There's a 3-year felony in Georgia that Trump has violated. See, that's specific to Georgia. That's not specific to the federal government. And then he goes on to say, Donald Trump has zero defense in Georgia. What's significant with those tapes is when you put it in context of all the evidence on January 6th committee has uncovered, you put that together, Donald Trump has zero defense in Georgia. Really? Because I watched pretty much the entirety of January 6th happen in real time. I saw people get let in.
Have you watched the Schiff show?
No, I didn't watch this shit pile up. Speaking of, did you cover the Colbert kids? Because you can lead right into that if you did.
Well, again, it's the same basic story. Much like Watergate, we have Colbert's staff, 12 of them, I believe. 12? 9? 12. 9.
9. I think it was 9.
Illegally and improperly in the offices of the U.S. Congress in the Capitol building, after hours, without press credentials. We're not supposed to be there under any circumstances. We're told earlier in the day to vacate the premises.
Which is the key to trespassing. Whether it's a sign or you're verbally told, to get to trespassing, you need to pass that threshold.
Yeah, it has to be a willful act. Like even there
has to be
is a scenario,
knowing act.
Right. There is a scenario where you could be on private property, having gotten there without encountering a sign, even if signs are posted, and they could charge you with trespass, and you could literally say, and be truthful about it, I did not see any signs because I came in this way, and there was nothing stating that. And if that's proven to be true, you don't get convicted of trespass.
Yeah. It's a little harder to do that when you climb through a broken window.
But in this case, there is evidence of them being let into the building by one Adam Schiff and one of his cocksucking lackeys.
Yeah, come on now.
Nah,
yeah.
I'm done being polite. There's no reason to be polite when these people are literally doing the exact thing they're accusing their opposition of doing.
Bro, I've been telling your fence sitting ass that for like 3 years.
I've been aware of it for longer than that. I mean, that is my fence sitting comes down to arguing the merits of policy and fact. Okay, I don't really like playing politics.
Yeah. Well, I'm
which
not.
Which is why I
politics.
absolutely despise Adam Schiff.
Yeah.
Between him and Ted Lieu, and then the farting Swalwell fucker, I want them all tarred and feathered. Quite literally, tarred and feathered for their crimes against this country. In the name of their partisan politics.
I feel the same way about 94% of Republicans.
I'm with you. I'm not a big fan of Crenshaw at this point either.
But there's a picture of him in the next article about the Florida stuff or the Texas stuff. He's not even mentioned. He's just in the picture because like somebody just doesn't like him. But I support the Republican base. Trump, for all that he is, not a politician. He was a member of a group that was not particularly Republican,
lifelong New York Democrat.
Exactly. But what he was in office was a populist. I don't mind things that I don't particularly care for that don't hurt me.
Right.
And that was like it's the best you can hope for with a Democrat. But Trump pretty much did things that he didn't get everything he wanted done. And I probably wouldn't. Hi, Patch McCain. I like that, actually.
I believe that Mark Stein called him that at an event, which is why he's in the news.
Like Trump didn't get out everything he wanted done because of just insane amounts of opposition. I do not like lawyers, but I think 2024, preferably a governor, preferably a lawyer. For the leader of the Republican Party, because they have started lying to the President of the United States. They were telling Trump the troop numbers were dwindling when they were sending more troops. Actively going against the commander-in-chief. That shit cannot stand. That shit cannot fly. But we also had the 529 happen, and Trump did fuck all about it.
Correct. Well,
because he was
not only Trump, but Bill Barr didn't do anything about it. Bill Barr could have acted independently and done something about 529.
Bill Barr's Uniparty. Bill Barr's father was the head of a prep school that hired Jeffrey Epstein to teach high school age children trigonometry or geometry or fucking some sort of mathematics. And everybody who got to know Jeffrey Epstein said he was a creep. And Bill's Barr father is like, you know what? You should teach my youth without a teaching degree. So I don't trust the Barrs at all. They magically end up in the Uniparty.
Well, and that's the real evil of the loss of our republic, is that it was consumed by this shadowy mono-party of connected individuals and incestuous relationships. Quite literally incestuous relationships.
We're going to be cleaning out Tennessee coming up here over the next 6 years because of what happened with Robbie Starbuck. He is popular in his district, which is over by Nashville. But the GOP counts. You didn't live here long enough. He went and brought it to court and said, I've lived here. It's like, oh, well, you didn't vote Republican the last 4 times. It's like, I voted him the last 3 times, though. And I'm like, I don't even like the idea of that. You're telling me I can't not vote for fuck you. So we're going to be cleaning house. Lee does all right, but we lost Republicans twice in the last 6 years, retiring, flying out of there like pieces of shit. Making bad decisions and taking them with them. Like, no, you're jumping on a sword. You retired because your decision left you with no choice. We weren't electing you again. We will not be putting that position in the future.
I wonder, and I need to look up the specifics of this, but it's my understanding that if you're a representative, you have to serve 2 terms before you qualify for the federal retirement package. I think it's not. I don't think you can just do it once and get those benefits. I think you have to do it twice. I could be wrong, but that'd be an interesting case because, there's plenty of people that will do it just for those benefits.
Oh yeah, extra $174,000 a year wouldn't hurt.
Yep. Hell, I'd do it for that if I thought I could win an election.
Not in your state.
Well, I got a better chance here than somewhere like California, but there is no district here that I would want to win. We've got our own problems here, much like you're saying you got a clean house in Tennessee. We're still rooting out the McCainite corruption, monoparty corruption of our entire state's politics. I mean, it's what got Sinema elected and kept McSally out. McSally being there at all was a fluke because the governor had to appoint somebody. But even the local GOP didn't want her for some reason, which is why she didn't put up a fight. She saw the writing on the wall that she wasn't going to win anyway.
5 years of service.
All right, so 2.5 terms you got to do.
A congressional pension system are vested after 5 years of service. A full pension is available to members 62 years of age with 5 years of service, 50 years old with 20 years of service, or 25 years of service at any age. How does the math on that work out? You can be only 50 if you started with us when you were 30. Or if you started us when you were 25, you can be 50.
I think that's what it is. It's just that the average government career qualification for retirement is 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like my buddy was a cop for exactly 20 years and 2 months, and he retired with his full benefit.
Well, this is the congressional pension.
Right. Well, no, it's government is the general career length for a government employee to be fully vested for retirement is 20 years.
So AOC's not going to get it until she finishes. Well, she's halfway through her second term or her third term, and then hit 62.
No, because how old was she when she got elected?
33, 32.
Okay, so she's got to go 20 full years. So she needs 10 terms, which I'd like to say I don't think she'll get, but she probably will.
if she's able to keep her fucking seat or her keep her district. Keep her district a district.
Well, there's a case where there's two Democrats fighting for a redistrict. They're basically both of their districts got assumed together, and they had to primary to see who would get it. So it is entirely possible that even if she loses, if her district evaporates, which it should, that she might still win whatever district that current district gets subsumed into.
Yeah, she won her district and then a write-in of like the next district over. They voted for her. But all right, let's get to the Texas adopts resolution. The fuck you, Joe Biden. Now this sounds like angsty and super red pilled, but what it is it's a step in the direction to secede. Which would work because Texas is the only state that all of their power plants are within the state. There's no federal power plants. The Republican Party of Texas over the weekend adopted a resolution, the state convention that rejects Joe Biden as the winner of the 2020 election, furthering aligning the state party establishment with former President Donald Trump. Like they care. We reject certifications. Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. is not the legitimate president. Read the resolution, but it was passed by a voice vote. I do not like voice votes.
No, you need to go down on record.
Yeah. The only good thing Marjorie Taylor Greene has able to accomplish is getting rid of the voice vote by calling for records. Mm-hmm. It's like, you people have so few things you have to do. Fucking do them. But this whole thing was voice vote. And then they tried to do some bullshit.
Well, and right there, you've identified why the establishment does not like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Mm-hmm. I like her. I found her to be...
Yeah, her politics aside, her, whichever side she comes down on, it doesn't matter that she's a Republican. If a Democrat had dared to do the same thing, to stand up for the actual voting constituents and hold the United States Congress accountable in that all she's asking for is them to record their votes and be on record.
Yep.
That person would be destroyed. It does not matter that she's a Republican. It's that she's holding them accountable at all.
Which is the issue. There's a picture of Cranshaw, and underneath it says, analysis, the Texas Republican Party convention was really something. Before the final resolution was adopted, Brian Bodine, a platform committee member who says he wrote the resolution, proposed an amendment about the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. It asserted that the right of those charged with the crimes have been violated. 100% agree. And rejected the narrative that events in the U.S. Capitol represented an insurrection. Also agree. The proposal drew applause and "Let's go Brandon" chants. Matt Rinaldi, chairman of the committee, ruled the amendment was out of order and would not be considered. I'd like the "Let's Go Brandon" Act to be established. You're not sure what that is? Look it up under the FJB solution. It also one of them wanted the a section included calling homosexuality an abnormal lifestyle choice and opposing all efforts to validate transgender identity. Which actually, this links up with another one of my stories, which is about FINA, which I do not know what FINA means, and I tried to look it up. And their new policy on transgender in female sports. The state party platform has yet to finalize the vote that are being tallied in individual planks. Texas And then it goes on to talk about John Cornyn getting booed. He's like, no, I was standing up for you guys. I said that we weren't going to do these things, even though I was there and agreed to things. I'm for the I said no on universal background checks, magazine bans, and licensing requirements. The list goes on and on. I said no, 1,000 times no. You might ask what I did leave on the table. Mental health resources, more support for our schools, and making sure that violent criminals and mentally ill cannot buy firearms. Here's the thing, buddy. If we make it harder for the mentally ill to buy firearms, which I think is a good thing, or the criminal, which I think is a good thing, they will make us criminals and mentally ill. There has been a giant push forward from being just racist to being crazy racist. And that's not ending anytime soon, even though the Republicans were founded on abolishing slavery. And you look at every important or significant piece of legislation for women's rights, civil rights, and any significant legislation like that, with the exception of gay rights, which were passed by the courts, Republicans were the forerunners. They led the way. That their side had the majority of the votes that got it passed.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. And then it goes on to name the other people participating in the 10-10 bipartisan gun agreement. Lindsey Graham, Susan Collins, Bill Cassidy, Mitt Romney, Pat Toomey, Tom Tillis, Rob Portman, and Roy Blunt. Fire all of them. Mitt Romney from a cannon.
I find it interesting that Romney had to carpet bag into the land of his people in order to get back into any sort of power.
Mm-hmm. I voted for that man. I'm pissed. Yeah. So what articles do you have?
Let's see. We already covered the comic thing. We didn't really touch on the people that Colbert, the Colbert people. One
you
of
mean
them
the insurrectionists?
Yeah, the insurrectionists. One of them being Robert Smigel, who is Comic the Insult comedy dog.
Triumph. The insult comedy.
Yeah, Triumph, the insult comic, or whatever. I think that's fairly notable. And then, let's see, what was the first thing we discussed?
You jerk.
Oh, the movie. Yeah, the movie thing. And then we have Biden falling off a bike, which I guess is really kind of old news, but I think it's overblown. I mean, I get why it's overblown, but I think it's overblown.
Mm-hmm.
I had the eye patch McCain thing that I didn't really do much research on, other than to recognize that he was at some sort of event, and Mark Stein, who used to fill in for Rush Limbaugh, he's insufferable. I do not like Mark Stein, but he is a very, very active member of the conservative movement, conservative movement, not the populist conservative movement, like neocon movement, like Sean Hannity level neocon. Used to fill in for Rush Limbaugh.
The Canadian. I don't like him, and I don't like what's his nut Savage.
Michael Savage.
I just it's the voice. I think
Michael Savage is up there with Dennis Prager, as far as I'm concerned. Very important key figures in broadcast media for conservative ideas.
Well,
And
I'll read his book.
God bless Michael Savage for doing that out of San Francisco, because that's where he's based. That's
Larry Elders is based somewhere in California too.
He's down in L.A., but Larry Elders is basically in Orange County, which is a red county in a sea of blue. So there, you get less credit for being from the L.A. Orange County area than you do for being literally in San Francisco and spouting some very, very hardcore conservative talking points. I like Michael Savage, but both he, Dennis Prager, and Sean Hannity, and God rest his soul, Rush Limbaugh, have aged out.
Mm-hmm.
Their ideas are not, while they're formative, are not where the new power center that the conservatives will wield. That will not be where they're from, because they all supported people like Bush, both Bushes, Romney, McCain, Cheney. Yeah, all these people. Yeah, Cheney rums. That's the problem with the Bush administration, is that it had the fucking Nixon administration as the Bush administration. Same fucking clowns. All CIA, all deep state monoparty operatives that put on a show. And had done since Eisenhower. Reagan was a fluke. Trump was a fluke. And those two flukes were the best goddamn presidents we've had in my lifetime.
Yeah. And we're finally getting like Reagan was like, let's let the Mexicans in. They're Christians, conservatives. They should be on my side, right? And they didn't, but now that we're here, they are, and they really don't like that.
Well, and yeah, living where I live and being exposed to these people, they're opportunistic Democrats. They'll vote for, the free shit and the lax, the lip service, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to their actual fundamental values, yeah, they're that, and much like Cubans, very, very conservative, ultimately.
I mean, in a perfect world, red flag laws should be a thing. Just, I don't trust anything about Democrats wielding red flag laws.
No. The way that they're being implemented is basically just directly against the Constitution.
Yeah.
That being said, notice that a lot of the people that are identified as gunmen and have these horrific events associated with them were already on the FBI radar.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly they were already in some sort of watch list or some sort of something or other. The FBI was already aware of these people. So that leads me to conclude that either A, they're aware of them because they're being groomed to do exactly what they did, awares or not, in order for them to further their power center, which is some Alex Jones tinfoil shit, but has to be on the table because I don't trust them to not do that sort of thing. Or, if they're on the radar, there needs to be some other form of mechanism that stops them from doing what they eventually do.
Mm-hmm.
Because the FBI is, whatever they're doing, is not effective. Mm-hmm. They don't need new laws to do this, but we need some sort of procedure that doesn't directly violate the fourth, fifth, and is it the fourth, fifth, and seventh amendments?
Speedy trial.
Well, there's that. Well, that goes back to the January 6th speedy trial. Here we are a year out, and they've been in solitary. What the absolute fuck?
Yeah. But we lose 22 service members a day. So I wouldn't mind if people who they reach out to have conversations about how bad they're feeling and how suicidal they're feeling, I would mind if their friends kicked in their door and took all their guns for a minute. Went in there, cleaned out the guns, and then held suicide watches where they were in there with their friend until he was able to recover. And we don't have Chris Kyle being taken out by a suicidal bastard who wouldn't have been able to do it while Chris Kyle was there, so he shot him first. Like, ideally, we would be responsible enough with guns to realize that some people shouldn't have guns for a little bit of time.
Well, see, I'm not even going to go that far. I think because I grew up in an era where somebody putting a rifle on a truck rack and driving it into the school parking lot and it being there all day during school was a thing that happened and nobody batted an eye. But what's happened is that we don't have a ubiquitous gun culture like everybody says we do. We don't. We don't have it anymore. Because if we did, boys and girls ultimately should be taught how to shoot and how to maintain a gun.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go the other way and say that before we enact these prohibitive things, because prohibition doesn't work, see, what is it? Prohibition and the drug war.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it that way. Go the other way and start from a very early age teaching gun safety, how to operate, how to shoot.
And Waco, who got rid of the mental institutions?
Reagan.
Exactly.
Which was a mistake.
Mm-hmm. So was granting citizenship to 1.8 million Mexicans. But, Stephen, I don't know what you're talking about.
Before you get there and blame Reagan for that, the deal is that you grant the amnesty to these people
one time.
And we fix the immigration law.
Did that happen?
No, it did not, because Reagan held up his end of the bargain. Congress did not. Shock, shock. Why you would ever trust the U.S. federal government for anything? Anyone should never trust the U.S. federal government. No one should. Ever. Our entire history is of the United States federal government fucking whoever they come into an agreement with. Every single time. They don't hold up their end of the deal. They're not good actors. They will break a treaty. They will stab you in the back.
Waco, you're going to want to ice your neck and then heat it from all the nodding you're doing right now. So just make sure you take care of that neck. I don't know what Ann Coulter said about Trump, but I don't care what Ann Coulter says about Trump. Here's the thing about Ann Coulter. She grew up conservative, and every move she made as an adult, she moved to New York City. She never had children. Every action she took as an adult, no matter what she was writing, was that of a Democrat. The only thing she's gotten right in the last 10 years was that Donald Trump would be the party leader from what she was seeing out of a group that included Jeb Bush and Mitt Romney. Like, I like me some Mike Huckabee, but he's not presidential. I don't care how many times he loses 50 pounds. Rand Paul's too young. Yeah, it just wasn't going to happen.
Well, he's not too young now.
Well, yeah, but just since he gets his ass kicked by his neighbor, he's gotten better, but still. There absolutely are reasons to have no-knock warrants. So what did Ann Coulter say about Trump?
I heard this the other day, and I don't. Basically, all it boils down to is that Ann Coulter will say whatever it is necessary for her to be on talk shows.
Yeah.
On CNN.
Don't like crime, blame a single mother.
Right. She will say whatever she needs to say to be in the media to collect a paycheck.
Mm-hmm. Put forth her new book.
Yeah. So it does not matter what Ann Coulter had to say about Trump. Ann Coulter is a bag of antlers who has served her purpose and needs to be put out to pasture.
I want to know. I don't particularly care for Hotep Jesus, but he says a lot of pretty solid things that he clearly doesn't completely understand.
Yes.
I want to know who he reads. That's who I want talking to people. Because whoever he's getting his ideas from has the good ideas. There's clearly some soul in there, possibly some Larry Elders. I want to know who else is in his catalog of listening materials, because there are some good, valid, solid points that he almost makes a lot of the time.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So whoever
he gets 95% of the way there, and you're right. I think it is that he just doesn't fully comprehend where he's headed.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't quite make the conclusion necessary.
And I'm like, oh, dude, you're so close, you're so close. So he falls short. I'm like, who the fuck are you reading? I want to be reading them. I would like to sound like the individual you sound like, because these thoughts clearly aren't coming from you. Want to be like his nana or some shit, and I'm completely out of luck. Just conservative old biddy from South Texas or some shit.
I don't know. I've seen Cornel West say some shit that I don't even agree with. I'm like, whoa, that's a little.
Oh yeah, Cornel West is got some. he's got some valid points, like when he's talking about the black community, but then he's got some like really weird points when he's still talking about the black community.
I agree. I totally agree with that. Yeah, it's one of those ones that I'm like 80% on board with, and then he says it's kind of like where Ron Paul was, where I'm like 80 to 90% of what you say, rock on, and then he says something galactically off base, and you're like, damn it, I can't go there.
Speaking of Ron Paul, I've got about 4,000 shares on this picture of a guy sitting down in front of the Federal Reserve, and he's there's a painting. Well, it's all a painting, or it's a cartoon. But the dude sitting in front of the Federal Reserve, and he's drawing the Federal Reserve on fire with gallows in the foreground, and it blew up pretty hard over on TikTok. But there's no watermark, so I don't have anybody to credit it to. I don't like that. Like, I got a couple of like Defiant L things, and they're off of TikTok right now. But I still give them credit every time they come around.
Yeah, so we had Lightyear movie doing horrible. We have the new Insurrectionists. You brought up 529, which I don't think enough people recognize or know about it. That should blow up a little bit more than it is. Biden falling off a bike. Bike and Biden.
Biden. I've got the I got two more. I got one about the Dixie Chicks. They were on stage yesterday and they kind of gave up.
That's just the Chicks, sir.
That's what I meant. The Chicks.
Or the cunts, as it were.
Yeah, I think it's just Natalie. But Governor McKay from Rhode Island, because not everybody knows what a Governor McKay is he is set to vote on it. Passed in both the legislature and the House in Rhode Island. Restrictions on magazine size down to down to 10. which is fine if you're carrying my 2 world wars, but or a subcompact. But if, like me, you're carrying a 19+1, you're losing what? Are, nine?
Half.
Or are you losing 9, or are you losing 9
You're
plus
losing
1?
half. Well, I guess you could be. Well, no, because according to the law, even
Magazine's 10, so
10 plus 1 it would be illegal, right?
no, a magazine with 10, so you can have 1, and then you can just fill it up from the and top it off and have 10 in the magazine, because the magazine can hold 10. So you can have 10 plus 1. So yeah.
I would bet you it's written in such a way that if they catch you with the +1, you're going to jail.
That's some bullshit.
Because I'm pretty sure that's how California is written. And isn't this just a direct copy of the California law?
Yeah, but people don't understand that that this could actually be null and void, depending on when the Supreme Court, who missed their their exposure date, the release date, when it comes out. So we might have, like, just across the spectrum, constitutional carry with no magazine limit. And then Shannon Watts can go fuck herself.
Even if you get constitutional carry, which I hope does happen, just national constitutional carry, I hope that happens. You would still, my understanding is you would still have to abide by current state law as far as purchase and capacities and silly, NFA sort of bullshit. You would still have to comply with that because that wasn't what was challenged. It's just the right to carry that's being challenged.
Yes, and in the right to carry is carry. Full-size gun, full-size magazine.
Again, I think that's going to, especially if the Supreme Court rules that it's down to the states, with the exception of shall not be infringed. There's a legal argument there that the magazine restrictions might still have validity, even with a constitutional carry change to places like New York.
They don't. Like, okay, I get that New York, you shouldn't be running around with a 50 caliber. There are so very many people in New York that overpenetration is a huge and very deadly possibility. However, if you're hunting ram in Idaho, you need a 338 because you're not getting closer than 400 yards. You're a mountaintop away from the fucking goats and sheep and ram and mountain climbers. So you need that distance. And I think it goes against the very nature, essence, and soul of the Constitution to say the United States military gets 30 plus 1. I don't even carry 30 plus 1. But you only get 10. Because at the heart of the Constitution, the Second Amendment is to defend against enemies that are foreign and especially domestic. If the police can have 9mm with 20 plus 1, the citizenry can have 9mm with 20 plus 1. If they have fully automatic murder hoses, we get fully automatic murder hoses.
I totally agree with that sentiment and that rationale. I'm just saying that the way that the laws are written is it's going to have to pass a legal challenge for that to, and a separate ruling for that to get applied, because I can almost guarantee you that a state like California, even if somebody passes constitutional carry, they're going to catch somebody with a full magazine. And
Good, and then they'll go to jail, and then we will get the ruling on it in a year and a half.
Well, you're being optimistic, because the people that get the charge have to take it the entire way, and how many people can afford to do that?
They should be getting backed by the Firearms Policy Coalition and the NRA.
I would agree with that.
And usually, Supreme Court lawyers are pro bono. To get in front of the Supreme Court is kind of like they're like, we'll pay you to take this in front of the Supreme Court. We're looking to make a name for ourselves here in the Supreme Court. We're one of the 4 people that go in front of the Supreme Court. We have tea times. Our wives are on the same softball league as Kagan. I was trying to think. Was that lesbian? Yeah, I want it challenged and I want it done, because I saw this fucking guy. He was shaking. It was in a TikTok, and he's saying that the pendulum has swung, and people are in favor of what he's saying. So give up your guns now before we take all your guns. I'm like, no. First off, I live in, oh God, what's it called? Free State, where we don't listen to your bullshit. Like, it's currently stalled, but we're on our way to getting the NFA repealed within the state. Manufacturing. Take care, Waco. Don't forget to ice yourself. And that's going to obviously be put on a stall since everybody's shooting up everything. Not in Tennessee, but Missouri's already got it. Texas has a version of it. Like, it's spreading like constitutional carry spread a few years back. It's heading that direction. It's 26 states now. That's more than half.
Yep.
Not half the population, but half the states.
Right.
And fucking Alaska should have a mandatory carry of at least a 44. Welcome to Alaska. Here's your 44. You want anything better, you have to buy it yourself. Do you know what mineral rights are? Good. Here's your 44.
Well, I mean, if it's good enough for Alaska, why isn't it good enough for Montana? You know.
Well, I mean, there's not. Polar bears are fucking dicks. Yeah, it's but there's like I was saying earlier, Fiddy-Cals do not belong in New York City. But a 338 is perfectly acceptable in some parts of Wyoming, Montana,
Arizona.
Idaho. What the fuck do you have sand in Arizona? What are you hunting? Sand?
We have got some mighty large elk, sir.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, do you have to hunt elk at a distance?
Imagine.
It helps.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and if nothing else, the penetration power helps because they're big. We also have, well, there's bear everywhere in the States. Yeah, we have a lot of black bear, but it's not unheard of to come across a grizzly this far south. It's rare. It's not unheard of. And we have a hell of a lot of puma and mountain lion.
Oh no. See, that's why I would be carrying my shockwave while I went hunting. Josh and I were talking about it, and he wants to carry like a 454 Kazoo or some shit. And I was like, carrying the shockwave, it's so much more versatile. Like, whether it's hog or snake, I can carry snake shot, hog shot, and fucking bear shot all in the same gun. Like, good luck with a rattlesnake, and I'm gonna piss myself before I shoot a rather.
I almost stepped on one. Ugh. Rat bastards. At least they warn you. I mean, they got that going for them, which is nice.
Well, yeah, because they're great big giant sissies. like, yeah, like, you're like, everything's scared of you. You don't need to be scared of it.
Well, I appreciate the rattle, quite honestly, sir. I appreciate it. Scares the living bejesus out of you, but that's better than getting seriously dead.
Yeah. All right, and I had one more story about. I technically had two more stories. I got Alex Jones was right story, and I've got the. So we, God bless it. We all know that Matt put out a story recently about mass shootings, and he defined mass shootings as the death of 4 or more individuals. It is now a mass shooting, which kind of makes more sense because the term is shooting and not mass murder.
Right.
Is the wounding of 3 or more individuals. And that is why this has happened in D.C. 3 injured in a shooting at a D.C. festival. I don't know what Mochella is, but let's stop naming things Chella for funsies. But over the weekend, D.C. are searching for a 15-year-old boy. Or no, I'm sorry, a 15-year-old boy was killed amongst 3 other people that were injured. One of those other injured was a cop. So this happened at 14th and U Street Northwest, and the area has been cleared, and the other injured were taken to hospitals in D.C. There was a cop shot in the leg, and he has no idea what happened. And Muriel Bowser is, of course, out there saying that we need some accountability, and we have a child who was killed today at an event that did not have any proper planning. Planning doesn't matter.
If only there was somebody in charge of the city that could have done proper planning before an event.
If only there was a mayor.
Well, given DC's history, as long as she's not on the crack, she's a step ahead.
Mm-hmm. Or voted back in, having been formerly on the crack.
But yeah, I do not expect that to be any more than a 2-minute blurb on the news tonight, and then never mentioned ever again.
The 5 cities with the deadliest shootings and whatnot are surpassing their 2021 numbers before the end of the month. So halfway through the year, and they will be at the whole, last year's whole number.
Yeah.
I'm like, unsurprising, Chicago, you've been going up for several years now. But here's the thing. They all want to talk about guns coming in from out of state. How come the other states surrounding your state don't have your numbers?
It's a good question. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of shootings in Detroit, but we never hear about them. We hear about Chicago because that's like the topic du jour. Like, they're just easy to pick on. But I'm sure there's plenty of shootings in places like Baltimore or Detroit. Even Gary, Indiana, and you just don't hear about them because nobody gives a shit about those places.
Yeah. So I went home, August 2019, I think, 2018, 2019. I had a conference to go to, and I just happened to, it's my hometown, so I was going home. I get to my hotel room, turn on the news, 2 stories back to back. One is a convenience store robbed by a tiki torch wielding tiki man, I guess. Like, he robbed the convenience store with a tiki torch. And then the story after that was a guy followed an open carrier into a convenience store and tried to rob him of his open carried pistol. And as you can imagine, he shot that man.
Yeah, got perforated.
Yeah. Like fucking Detroit, man. Just so stupid.
Yeah, the other story I've got is of the cop, and I don't know the location because I forgot to write it down.
Oh, the fucking possible jihadi attack?
Yes. Yes, some rando dude rolls up on a cop doing a traffic stop, is so agitated by the mere existence of a police officer that he
doesn't stop the car.
Doesn't correctly stop the car to get out with a hatchet to try to take out said cop.
Well, dude was wearing a backpack in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. It's like, how does that work? Like, how do you wear a backpack while you're driving an automobile?
Yeah. It's like that's weird shit, man.
Everything about that little 50-second clip is weird.
Yeah, and I would be super pissed if I witness a homicide and I still get my blow on the red light ticket.
Yeah, I would imagine that whoever the cop had pulled over got away without getting the ticket for whatever, just for being a witness at that point.
Yeah, because you have to, you can't let them go. I mean,
right, they can't go anywhere. They're not going anywhere until that's sorted out. But yeah, I would imagine they did not end up with a ticket at that point.
Like,
but
here's what's going to happen.
The weirdness of that whole thing is that the cop has a car pulled over, is out talking to the driver, or writing a ticket or whatever. There's no other traffic on this street at all. And the one car that comes along has this guy in it that is wearing a backpack while driving, doesn't properly stop the car, and decides that fuck that cop.
Yeah. Here's the thing. You hit that cop with your car first.
One would think.
You sideswipe the cop. He's on the ground. You then finish him with the hatchet.
Yeah.
Which is behind your back as you pretend to help him.
Everything about that is just odd.
Like, were you making sure it was a cop first? Were you checking the race of the cop? What is going on that all of this weirdness happens? What up, Hudson?
Oh, hang on a sec.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to monkey yourself. Hang on.
I actually do that when I say it. So that was just a weird situation from start to finish. Like, you clip the cop so that he can't draw his gun. You don't not stop the car. I mean, the car stopped, but you didn't put it in park because you're fucking. I don't know. Maybe there were drugs involved. Maybe he thought that the cop was a tree, possibly, and he needed kindling. Maybe the guy was actually a cracked out arsonist. That could be what was happening. Well, my last story is we don't have a sounder for it, but I would like to put $1 in the Alex Jones was right jar. A Stanford University study on harvesting blood and organs of children could help achieve immortality. And it goes on to say that harvesting the blood and body parts, including organs of children, and transplanting them into the bodies of elderly could help humanity achieve immortality, according to researchers at the Stanford University. Elitists and transhumanists have long been interested in harvesting materials from the Utes, in a bid to pursue life extension. What was once a conspiracy theory has now become a conspiracy fact, which is what you need in this latest round of fuckery is any conspiracy you happen to believe in, wait 6 months, it'll come true. So we've got, according to the report by the Telegraph newspaper, cultures throughout history have revered the young. And the Stanford research shows that infusing cerebrospinal fluid of young mice into older mice improves brain function. And opening the door for humans to experiment with the blood and organs of children. I'm not going to get in much further than this, but everybody keep an eye out on Brina Abramovich and see what if she's looking any healthier. Someone put a stake in her heart, because we finally need to put an end to Elizabeth Bathory and her reign of terror against the young versions of the New Orleans districts. And 100% Ethan Hawke movies are turning the freaking frogs. Yeah. If you don't believe me, I'll eat your ass.
So I watched a YouTube video.
That's a great start to any conversation.
Right. Well, it was interesting because I don't normally get served up Daily Wire stuff on my feed, but the Michael Knowles show popped up on my feed this weekend. And it was the Alex Jones was right topic. And Michael Knowles, apparently just this last week, did a segment on Alex Jones was right about the chemicals in the water turning the freaking frogs gay.
Which chemicals, though?
Well, and I don't have a mental note of what they are exactly, but it wasn't quite the same thing, because his point was that the EPA came out with a study of 2 chemicals that are unsafe at any level in the water supply, that they admitted were unsafe at any level in the water supply, where previously they said, oh no, as long as it's like 3 parts per million or whatever, it was fine. So basically it wasn't even the direct Alex Jones was right thing. It was just tangentially attached, because the EPA said that the water system containing chemicals was bad, because they're carcinogens, I guess, or poisonous or toxic at any level. So while he was kind of close to the point, it's 6 years later from that story from Alex Jones, and Michael Knowles is finally on board with the chemicals in the water turning the frogs freaking gay.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing: is the estrogen mimickers in the in certain birth controls turns male frogs into female frogs, and at a certain level of exposure, prior to fully transforming the frogs, it's still a male frog thinking it's a female frog, and pairing off with male frogs.
Yep.
So yeah, the University of Tennessee, we haven't been able to frog gig in 4 years. And 4 years ago, we couldn't frog gig because the population numbers were down, because they were same-sex pairing off, because the chemicals in the freaking water were turning the frogs gay.
Right. I would imagine that in the next 20 years, there's going to be a shift, and we're going to find out that the endocrinological damage done by birth control, not only to females who take it for the stated purpose of not getting pregnant, but because the after effects, because they're pissing that all out back into the water supply, it will cause environmental damage, and there will be a pushback against birth control itself.
Did you watch an episode of Timcast with Liddy Edmonds, Liddy, Libby, right?
Liddy. Yep.
Lidby Emmons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now we're on the same page. This is like 2-4 months ago, maybe, when she said that she was put on birth control for something else, and she had a friend who was put on birth control for acne, and like it turned out like by 16 all of her friends were on birth control and none of them were on birth control to prevent pregnancies.
My understanding is that for girls with endometriosis, birth control helps alleviate some of those symptoms, pains, whatever it is that happens. Um, could be wrong on that. I'm not a woman and I don't have that problem, so don't quote me as gospel or anything.
I don't even know what that problem. I don't even know what endometriosis is.
Endometriosis, if I'm not mistaken, is ovarian cysts that are painful and cause complications, especially during ovulation and menstruation.
Okay, that's what she had. Libby.
Yeah.
No, I keep seeing Lily.
I went to high school with a gal who had that really, really bad when we were teenagers, and it was no joke. She was out a lot because of the pain. She ended up having an ovary and a half removed, and basically was told she would never have kids. That turned out to not be true, but
Bitch has more kids than Miss Wayans.
Well, no, she's only got 3, but still, she was able with half an ovary still to conceive and bear natural children, which is good for her because that's what she always wanted to do. But yeah, she had it real bad. So
I love that line because it's from a Wayans movie.
Right.
Like, bitch got more kids than Miss Wayans. And I'm like, there's 9 of you. How come we only know of 7? And Kim doesn't count. But
Kim.
Oh gosh, she's the worst. Like I understand if the rest are women, that why there's only Kim. She's terrible. And I don't even like Damon, or I like Damon and I like Key and Ivory. The rest of them can, yeah. And it's like Sean takes after Key and Ivory, and Marlon, I don't know what his problem is.
Well, and now you've got their kids, which is Sean the brother of Keenan Ivory, or is he the son of Keenan Ivory?
No, those are the youngest kids.
But he's a brother, not the son of.
Yeah, no. Okay. Sean and Marlon are the youngest children
of Mrs. Wayne's.
Yes.
Okay.
They're all siblings.
Okay. Because
speaking of though,
now I think Keenan Ivory's kids are also doing stuff.
Yeah, they are. But speaking of though, so listen to this power couple. It's kind of not a power couple, but it's a power couple. Martin Lawrence is out and about, talking shit, trying to get Eddie Murphy to pay for their kid's wedding because Martin Lawrence's daughter is marrying Eddie Murphy's oldest son.
Really?
Yeah. And the funniest part is they're both halflings. They're both mixed race. Because that was the thing to do back in the 80s when you made it was dick a white bitch. And Eddie Murphy's ex-wife is fucking gorgeous. Like Tiger Woods' ex-wife.
A Swede?
No, but blondest hair with the bluest eyes.
Okay.
Like thoroughly California girl. And so is Martin Lawrence's. But anyway, so but like I'm like, what's Richard Pryor's kids doing? like where are they at on the scale? Because I'm not the biggest fan of Martin Lawrence, but they did like what, Life together? What is that the movie? Life?
I don't know if those two ever worked together.
Yeah, because no, I think they did Life.
Martin Lawrence didn't really hit until like 88 or 89. And by that time, Eddie Murphy was just kind of lying low and not doing anything.
No, I think they did a movie called Life. Hold on, let me check. 1999. Yeah, 1999. It's Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence and Bernie Mac's in it.
Okay.
And it was April 16th, 1999. Eddie Murphy, Bernie Mac, Hakeem Woodbine, Miguel A. Nuendez Jr. He's that black guy in everything. Have you seen Joanna Man? He's Joanna. Anthony Anderson, Rick James, Ned Beatty, Clarence Thomas III, Heavy D.
I love Heavy D.
Arlie Emery played a sheriff, so that was some racist shit. Brent Jennings. Oh, I miss Brent Jennings. Yeah, so yeah, they did that movie. Now, was Martin Lawrence in Harlem Night?
I don't think so.
Because the other two cast members of Martin were in Harlem Nights. I almost felt like Harlem Night should have been with a K. Like they were like the Arsenio Hall. Quit shooting that goddamn guy. Red Fox, Arsenio Hall, Charlie Murphy. I don't remember Charlie Murphy in it. Stan Shaw. Shove a pinky toe quick.
I'm gonna shoot that pinky toe.
Yeah, Thomas Micah Ford. That's Tommy from.
I still love her turning around. Oh, you want to throw garbage cans at people? Now I got to cut you.
Miguel A. Nuendez Jr. He's in everything. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like he's in it. Somehow fucking Danny Hallow made it. Oh, so bad. So sad. Who was that? Who's that hot chick that seduced the white guy? Hey, Darla? Yeah, I ain't never coming home. Leela Roshan. That's what that was. Good Lord, this picture, Richard Pryor looks very light-skinned. But in this picture, Arsenio Hall looks like he has money, so some of these are deceiving.
Well, Leela Roshan put on some weight.
I bet she did.
She's still very pretty, but she's a lot heavier.
I think the last thing I saw her in was gang-related, or no. She was in that John Clement Dam movie. She works with Anton Fuqua. She might have been in Training Day. I just didn't recognize the movie. Nope. She doesn't look like she's in it. How old was she in Harlem Nights? She was 25. Oh, I ain't never coming home. Oh, she married Anton Fuqua. And they got a daughter together named Asia. Now, if she could marry the child of Ron Howard, then hella director.
Does he have a boy child? Because I only know Bryce Dallas.
I don't fucking know. Fine. What's that Jew that made Schindler's List? What's he up to? He's 51. I'm sure he'll marry a 26-year-old girl.
You.
What? Let's see how many freaking kids are around your house. Figure he's got to have like 3.
I would imagine.
He's got 4. He's got Bryce, Paige, Reed, and Jocelyn. Is Reed a dude? Good God, he's ginger.
As long as he doesn't look like his uncle, he's winning.
God. Why are you so mean to people? That poor guy gets crapped out of every family photo. Oh no, they're all married.
I noticed that he hasn't been on Crowder in forever.
And freaking gingers. Well, what is Clint up to? Is he even in America? Oh, he's a crazy person.
Yeah, I haven't seen him crop up in any movies lately either, which is weird because normally
That's what I'm checking.
He's in everything. Just some bit part somewhere.
Andy Griffith Show, Apollo 13, Grinch, 3 from Hell. So last I've got is 2019, 3 from Hell. 2019. He was in Leprechaun 2? I don't remember that. Tango and Cash. Oh, that's right. He was the crazy guy. In the he was with Tango. He was with Tango. Yeah, there's nothing since 2019. He was in 2018's Fuck You All, the U Bowl story. Fuck you, U Bowl. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything since 2019. I'm going to go to his IMDb to see if he's got anything pending. Oh, apparently he was in Solo 2018. 253 credits. Oh, he was in Pam and Tommy, an episode. Beyond Paranormal. Just Roll With It, which is a TV show. La Femme La Rouge. Okay, so maybe he's out of the country.
Maybe he got stuck out of the country, couldn't get back in for COVID.
Yeah, exactly. So where does this take place? Oh, never mind. Took place in Canada. Filming in Nebraska. Yeah, you can get back in from Canada. Huh? Who knows? Maybe there's something under his trivia. Younger brother of Ron Howard. I actually knew that. Was in 16 films directed by his older brother. I do not remember him in Cocoon. Six films with Malcolm McDowell. Five. Get Crazy, Disturbed, Fist of the North Star, Cut Off, Halloween, Star Trek guests. So that was the 6th. MTV Award, enjoys golf. 150 rounds a year before getting his hip replacements.
What a charmed life to live.
Really? Being the ugliest man in Hollywood?
He gets work.
As the ugliest man in every episode of whatever he's in?
Steve Buscemi.
Which is not fair, because he was a decent-looking guy.
When he was younger, yeah.
He's
but if you're Clint Howard, you live a charmed life because your brother is literally blazing the trail that you just get to leisurely walk down. I mean, Ron Howard was famous for being Opie on Andy Griffith's show, then got Happy Days, and then turned himself into a, A-list
brilliant director. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, Clint just literally rode those coattails. Doesn't matter that he
No, Clint.
looks like he could just be in Toxic Avenger movies just as is.
I'm the before of Toxie. Sir, you are hideous.
But yeah, I
But
mean, and
no,
then,
he's got it in his own right. He is a staple in the horror community, from Ice Cream Man to The Dentist 2. He does do a lot of work with U Bowl, even though U Bowl sucks. He doesn't suck. I enjoy his work, but his work kind of sucks. Like,
I would consider him well below Roger Corman.
Yeah, because there's less nudity, which is why he's beneath me. But he puts together movies on a budget, and fucking comes through. Like he does not go over budget, because he keeps that money. But like, he made a movie called House of the Dead. Do you remember the video game?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, in this, Dr. Curian was a college student and stumbled upon zombies from a 14th century Sega party. Oh, it was atrocious. But there was boobies in it, so good for him.
Kind of like that airplane clip.
But oh God, it was just, if you were a fan of House of the Dead, which I did not make the connection to, you'd have been fine. But when you realize what it is, you're like, that sucked. But sometimes he does all right. Ebol is not like a bad director per se. Just don't let him write anything. But like Orson Welles has a lot of like he's a legend. But he also directed Transformers. And he described it in interviews as the toys go and fight other toys. Then there's a big ship that's a toy that they fight and win against. Like that was his description. That's what he was selling in 1980 for the Transformers movie in the 80s. Like, he just did not give a fuck. And that's disappointing, man.
Have you ever seen clips of him doing some of the promo shots he would do?
Promo shots?
Yeah, he would do commercials.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah. He gave exactly 0 fucks.
Like, I think I saw one where he laughed the entire time but did the entire promo while still laughing about it. He was like, well, if you like wine like I like wine, then you'll enjoy this wine. This wine is what you want to drink. Is everybody good now? I can't, like, Marlon Brando really filmed it in at the end of his career. That to the point where, like, when he was in Superman, his lines were written on Kal-El's diaper because he couldn't be bothered to memorize them. And he was a pain for the Isle of Dr. Monroe.
Yeah.
I was like, man, stop casting you.
Which is what he wanted.
Stop casting me. Which I'm getting that out of Robert De Niro. God, I just won't stop. Shut up for a minute so I can like you.
Right? Yeah. If you just went by his performances on screen.
Oh no, God no. I do not like him at all. Maybe Meet the Fockers was the last thing he was in where I wasn't like, dude, you're a piece of shit. But like Deer Hunter, Cape Fear, I'm not going like, I should be buddies with this man.
Well, I mean, it was kind of hinted at when he was in Taxi Driver.
I liked Ronan.
Was he in Heat too, or am I thinking of somebody else? He was in Heat.
Well, Al Pacino was in Heat. Val Kilmer was definitely in Heat.
For some reason, in my memory,
it's one of those movies.
And De Niro, their roles are basically this. any role that either one of those has could be played by the other guy. Like, that's just how my mind works. Like, they're completely interchangeable to me.
I mean, they're like their heads are on the poster, right? It's Pacino looking one way and De Niro looking the other, right? Or is that
Yes.
Dog Day Afternoon?
No, I think that was Heat. I still need to go see Prisoners in Ghostland.
Or is Dog Day Afternoon the one without De Niro? That might be what I'm thinking of.
I need to see me some crazy Nick Cage movie. That's what I need to do.
Yeah, I think it was Dog Day Afternoon that had Pacino. Didn't have De Niro, but it had like Lance Henriksen and fucking Chris Sarandon. I think Charles Durning was in that too. For everything Charles Durning's done in his whole career, my favorite movie with him is the best little whorehouse in Texas. He would set his cowboy hat on sideways and then turn in that direction and just walk off. I love that. The guy played like a southerner in everything he did, and the dude's from New York. I also like Jonathan Waters.
Not to be confused with
Waters. Not to be confused with John Waters.
Yeah, completely different dude.
I fucking hope so. You got me just before I saw myself.
Yeah. I'm like, Jonathan Waters. And then John Waters popped in my mind. I'm like, that's not the right guy.
But I enjoyed Crybaby with Johnny Depp.
Shut up, cat.
Fucking weird movie. But it wasn't anything of his weirdest. I'm actually surprised he didn't get more of his hands on Johnny Depp. Like Tim Burton did.
Well, I hope that Tim Burton can restore Johnny's career. I'd be down for that.
I mean, it's not like he was hurting recently.
Well, he's not ever going to hurt for money, honestly, but I would just like to see a little bit of redemption for Johnny. Even though he is a shit dick who threatened President Trump, but I hate seeing being done by undone by a lying shrew.
Well, Robert Downey Jr. wants him to be the villain in the third Sherlock Holmes movie.
He might be a good Moriarty. That might be a good role for him.
Well, they already did Moriarty, and it was that brilliant redhead. So maybe somebody else. Well, maybe you could cross-dress, be the love interest, and just go off gay on it, like. Or maybe not cross-dress, just be fucking gay on it.
Yeah, I say don't tempt that, because they already kind of tried that.
There's this book called Corpses, and it's about a strong man. And he's not just a strong man, he's the strongest man. Like, picture Incredible Hulk, but not green.
Okay.
And just 7 feet tall, wide as 2 brick shit houses. And he's called Titan, and he's a family man, and he fights for, on the side of good against supervillains. And there's a story about him, and he gets caught with another superhero named Tower in having a love affair, and it ruins his professional superhero career when it comes out that he's gay. And he goes into seclusion and hiding, and one of his kids turns out to be a superhero, but he's got a defect in which he can't control a superpower. And he's a side character in this book series, and then Corpse, he's the main character, and it tells like the story of what has been happening in his life. It's a great fucking book. He kisses exactly 0 fucking people and stands up for traditionally realistic rights that you wouldn't have a problem with gays having. And no time is he trying to fuck anybody. Someone does have a huge problem with him, though, because he didn't come out and be the gay icon he could have been for a generation of people who were going through some shit.
Yeah.
And couldn't handle it. It was a really good book. And it couldn't be properly done in a movie, as no book really can be. But they're not all fucking awful.
Right.
I enjoyed the hell out of that book, and I'm not the biggest fan of gay literature. I don't know. Oh, I did like Harry Potter, so I guess I am. I just wish J.K. Rowling would stop ruining it for me 6 years later. Thank you. For all of you who read all 7 of my books, Dumbledore's gay. 6 years later, Snape was a transvestite. 4 years later, Filch lost his powers having sex with a cat. No, just stop it, woman. Quit ruining my beloved. There's a thing on TikTok about there's like your mother, father, your crush, your best friend, and your in your house, and it's a Harry Potter themed, and it gives you your house and your mom and your dad and your all the things. And one of them was ex-boyfriend, and this girl got Dobby, and I was like, I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but ever since you broke up, Dobby's really been bragging about how he's a free elf. She was like, oh my god, it's so rude and funny. Oh my god, I cried like a bitch when Dobby died. Like, I would have cried when Hagrid died, but I was mad at the time. Yeah. It's
when Dobby died in the books or in the movie?
The books.
Okay.
Oh, I read the books like years before, like whatever, like 3-5 years ago, before the movies came out. But no, if it was me and I was tactically planning, at the start when everybody takes Polyjuice Potion to look like Harry, I would have taken Polyjuice Potion to look like Fred. So everyone, so it would have taken, all right, so they're flying and they're like, oh, it's, 2 fucking random assholes. This clearly isn't who we're looking for. And then they have to go to the other one and be like, oh, it's the other fucking Weasley twin and whoever. And it'd take until the third time they saw that before they realized the Weasley twins aren't the Weasley twins. Instead of throwing killing curses at every fucking buddy, they would have saved time and just immediately gone to the next one. It would have made the same amount of sense as in the book, but it would have been a fucking better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you're using that, interested fan logic that sometimes authors don't get, and certainly Hollywood doesn't understand.
Yeah, yeah. I told that, like, I tried to explain it to an author once, about how it could have worked this certain way. Um, if they could have cheated and done this. He goes, no, they couldn't have. And I'm like, they literally could have. We saw it happen. But it couldn't have. And I'm like, yes, it could have. You've got a flyer, a telekinetic, a strongman, a absorber, and a manipulator. He manipulates luck. But if the flyer would have picked up the telepath could have mentally picked up the strongman, because she doesn't have control over her powers like she would have crushed a regular person. But because he's a strongman, and she actually does pick him up and threatens him at one point in the book, earlier in that very same book. And then in that same book later, the flyer flies with the telepath. So the strongman could have picked up the manipulator and the absorber in his arms after she wrapped her mental hand around the guy, and they all could have flown up to the top of the mountain. He goes, no, because, and like he never really answered me, and I'm like, yeah, you're goddamn right, I'm right. But he's like, no, it doesn't work like that. I'm like, it fucking does work like that. It works exactly like that.
Yeah, but plot armor.
Yeah. And I'm like, it works exactly like that, sir. Like loopholes are my thing, buddy. But so I was too raging, and just Hedwig's death was so quick. I didn't have anything. Like, did he just swallow a death curse? And then by the end of it, the twins aren't twins anymore because one of them's missing an ear. Like, there goes your favorite joke, pretending you're not the brother that you are. Poor Fred and or George. Plot twist. You, the reader, were gay all along. Oh, that hurts. And it's accurate. That's going to come out on the 20th anniversary. Is that why I didn't remarry? Son of a bitch. Wait, so I was Grindelwald the whole time?
Okay, there's a bunch of news about Biden humming and hawing about a gas tax holiday, and then there's this. Gas tax holiday. Critics say short-term move would worsen inflation. How?
We're already going into the strategic reserve.
I was going to say, all it will do is, for whatever day that is, or even if it's an extended holiday, would make gas 20 cents a gallon cheaper. I don't see how that worsens inflation. All it means is people will go fill up whatever tanks they have. They're still paying double what it was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay, so there's this thing going around TikTok where don't fill up on the 3rd, the 4th, or the 5th, which I'm like, maybe you can get around that, but it's a holiday weekend, sir. And they're like, it's happened before and it's been effective. I'm like, it's not effective though. It would never be effective. Speculators don't care about the price of the pump. They've already speculated and made their money. They care about what's coming down the pipeline. So maybe interested stores care, but I never got that 20 or the relief that a lot of other places got. Like people are saying, oh, it's back under $5.
No, it's not.
My local gas has been $4.59 for the last 3 weeks.
Now, what I have seen is the price rising stall out. It's $5.69 a gallon here, which is interesting because it's actually more expensive in town than it is in the rural areas of the state, which I thought was interesting because normally it's the opposite. But gas is actually cheaper in Flagstaff now than it is here in town. quite sure how that works.
Yeah, it wasn't. We never had a dip. It has stayed consistently at 459 for the last 3 weeks. But before that, it was 439.
Aw, Kurt Russell cries at Kate Hudson's Father's Day throwback pic. Luckiest father in the world. I'm going to click on that because I like Kurt Russell.
But he's not her father.
No, but he basically raised her.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. I like me some Kurt Russell.
Yep.
I know you like you some Kurt Russell.
For a guy who had the strongest entertainment company betting the farm on him at an early age, he has remained remarkably level-headed and humble.
Oh yeah, very young age.
And he should have been bigger than Schwarzenegger, as far as I'm concerned. Not like physically, but like as a star.
Like that. Well, he's sort of, from what I read, a control freak, which is something you want in a director, but he technically wasn't director. Like he wasn't the director of Tombstone, but he controlled every aspect of Tombstone. He wasn't the director of Soldier, controlled every aspect of Soldier, and he was injured in Soldier. So they had to film it like shittily out of sequence. Like he had a sprained ankle, so all the sitting scenes were done first, then all the standing scenes were done, then the walking scenes, and then finally he fought Jason Lee. Which I like the diversity when you start putting together super soldiers and they're all different ethnicities.
Uh-huh.
That makes so much sense. Like that makes a ton of sense. Like if you're thinking about fucking with Iran over the next 20 years, yeah, you start making some baby Iranian super soldiers or covert spies or whatever. That makes sense. Quit making Superman black or gay or bisexual or whatever the fuck you're doing. Stop it. If anything, Project X should have been more ethnically varying.
Well, he's Canadian, so.
No, well, good luck with that. But I'm just saying, like, the super soldier Zemo kills were diverse. So that kind of shit can make some sense.
Hey, knock it off.
Ew. So, take it for what it is. And it's 11 o'clock.
That it is.
Well, it's my 11 o'clock.
Well, it's, 8 here. What else have we got? Anything interesting?
I think I'm good. Did you cover all yours?
Yeah, the only thing I didn't really touch on, and I don't know how many people got exposed to it because it wasn't big, but there was confrontation caught on video of a guy obviously having an altercation with an older guy, and the older guy's got a gun, and the older guy with the gun is backing up a little bit, but then the agitator decides that he's a superhero and takes off a shirt. He's wearing two, so he takes off one shirt and then proceeds to lunge at the guy with the gun, who promptly drops his ass. And the argument is that that's not self-defense. The guy with the gun should have been running away. I'm like, that's not how that works.
Yeah, but the thing is when he took off his shirt, his other shirt came up, and it showed that he had a knife in his pants.
Yeah.
So there's a new Kung Fu Panda coming out called Paws of Fury, which could have just been done with when it was Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, well, there's no new ideas in Hollywood, so.
Oh.
Elon Musk's transgender daughter files to change her name, dropping Musk. What?
This guy's pulling a bass in, and and there's a bear on the shore, and as he's pulling it in, the bear keeps getting closer and closer, like it's coming directly to the bear. And he just, with his head down, he just keeps reeling it in, and the bear snatches it and runs away with it.
Okay, this person is retarded. One of Elon Musk's children wants nothing to do with him and has filed legal documents to drop his famous last name. In fact, she is changing her full name and legally declaring her gender identity. The documents were filed in LA County by Xavier Musk. At least that was the name she was given at birth. But now, having turned 18 in April, she says she wants her name to be Vivian Jenna Wilson. In the docs, she says she wants to be recognized as female. But the name change isn't just about her transitioning. There's clearly a rift with dear old dad. Vivian lists her reasons for the name change as gender identity and the fact that I no longer live with or wish to be related to my biological father in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to call bullshit right there, because your genetic father is the living richest person on earth.
Yeah, but he doesn't act like it, so she's upset.
Something tells me that this mentally ill human being still wants daddy's money.
I don't think he's passing it on. Plus, daddy wants to go die on Mars anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised if he spends his entire fortune getting off to Mars.
Vivian has a twin brother, Griffin, and the last name Wilson comes from their mother, Canadian author Justine Wilson, who was married to Elon from 2000 to 2008. This is attention-seeking illness. And yeah, I can admit that there's probably a genetic component because Elon's kind of kooky himself. But, yeah, this is... Yeah, get cut off and see how well that goes for you when nobody gives a shit about you. Because your only claim to fame is that you are, in fact, Elon's kid.
Yeah, that's skedaddle.
Okay, we can do that then.
Go.
I'm ready when you are.
Night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
a beautiful nation.